guess the first kind of obvious question: how much are you anticipating having a full crowd and kind of being back to a normal type of season when it comes Saturday?
I mean, it's exciting, but they don't cheer for us anyway on the O-line. So, I mean, I know all the noise will be great, but it won't be directed towards us. So it's not really. I mean, it's not really that much of a distraction, if that makes sense.
Is it impactful though? Does it help you prepare more? Have more hype coming out on the field when you have that gathering?
I mean, I think if you're not hyped enough to play already just because you're playing, then you probably should find a different sport. But I mean, the crowd certainly adds to it. I mean, it's fun. It definitely creates an atmosphere. But I'm no disrespect to the fans. I love our fans. But last year it wasn't a problem for me personally coming out and not playing in front of everybody. It was just like a practice. It was like a practice, but it was a game.
So you wouldn't say it was difficult getting into the right kind of headspace last year? Didn't feel that scrimmage like?
No, not really. I mean, at a certain point, you just got to, say it is what it is and just get rolling.
Hey, for you, what's the anticipation of the week before you play the first game?
Like, what level of anticipation do I have? Or
I mean, you've been practicing for so long, haven't played a game. Now it's finally game week. What's that feeling like when it switches gears and there's a game on Saturday instead of just a scrimmage?
I mean, it's kind of, I would say it's kind of the same as every other week, but it's not. But in terms of like locking it in and getting ready to go, like you should be doing that every day, I think, or as much as you can. Games certainly add to it, and having a game is certainly like, okay, I've been practicing all summer, all winter, and all that. It's time for me to showcase what like I can do, what we can do as a team. So that really, I would say, is the only difference. But like you could do that in practice, I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of practice, and it's possible to get better in a game day scenario as well.
Is it a case of last year was so weird, you've just flushed that and now it's back to normal and this is what we kind of know and kind of do?
Yeah, I mean, there was one instance last year where I was really upset, and that was just right before the Cal game, when it got canceled. I was getting ready to suit up and go out, and then they came in and said, hey, like, we're not playing. And that really upset me. But luckily, I think my personality is more of a go-with-the-flow type of person. So, I mean, when I heard the season was canceled, I knew it was going to happen, and then they started coming out with all these restrictions and everything in terms of COVID, and I was just saying to my buddies, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we played like 2 games this year, and we ended up playing double that. So, it didn't really come as a surprise to me.
Does it feel like a bit of a weight off your shoulders, and kind of being able to go about a full season rather than the 4-game season with so many questions and so much uncertainty?
Yes and no, just because like every season presents its new challenges. Last year just happened to be a season with more challenges than normal, I would say. This season's going to have plenty of ups and downs and high anxiety moments, low anxiety moments, plenty of lows and highs. But it is kind of back to more routine. I remember like sitting in class the other day and, coming home and having homework, and I was just kind of like, I haven't done this in a year and a half, doing everything on Zoom and all that, and then coming out here to practice and really like getting ready to go to a hotel and stuff like that. It's certainly like, it's not new to me because I've been doing it for so long, but there's been such like a long break, I guess I would say, that it's kind of like, okay, we're back in it, back doing this thing the way it should be.
Dave, not knowing who your starting quarterback is, does that affect you at all?
No.
Doesn't matter who's calling signals?
No. Got to play either way.
Do you feel like that's just kind of to you personally, or do you feel like maybe because you've been through so many of these situations, the last 3-4 years where the quarterback has been uncertain, that you just kind of adapted to just kind of go with it and just, be ready for whoever's throwing the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up pretty perfectly. It's not, you can't read into it too much, and the cutthroat nature of I guess the athletics business, especially football, is next man up. No matter how great you've been, you look at the highest level. There have been great players who have gotten injured, and it's not, they don't make a big fuss over it on the team level. It's just, okay, who's going to step up and perform next? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Is it hard to prepare for a game when you just kind of don't know what this team is going to do with a new defensive coordinator, new head coach, new personnel? You can't just go to the film and look?
Yes and no. Again, just because, you make do with what you have. Like when I remember we played Arizona State in 2019 with Leach, and we game planned all week for like the specific looks, and we came out and they weren't doing any of it, so it's always a possibility that they could just switch it up anyway, and you just got to be ready for that and just be ready to adjust.
Any players in particular on Utah State's side that you're kind of highlighting? I see they have transfer defensive ends from Texas and Miami. Are those guys you've kind of emphasized on film, or anybody?
I mean, mainly just playing to their four up front, you know. I mean, because that's who I'm going to be going against most of the time, you know, or if not all the time. But, I mean, you try not to make an opponent too big. I mean, there's certainly going to be some good guys out there that we're going to have to game plan for. But we treat it as any other day, not getting it too big, but also not overlooking to the next opponent.